Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, today I figured let's take a look and talk about some stoner movies because I like smoking weed and these movies are great. Because I like film. Stoner comedies, off the top of my head, if I had to take a guess as to like categorize them, I would say they are, I guess, actually, let me fix this. Stoner comedies are basically like comedy movies where the main characters smoke a lot of weed or do drugs of some kind, typically weed. But yeah, it's like I said, it's typically weed, possibly like coke for bigger movies like Wolf of Wall Street, whatnot. But for the most part, it's weed. So we're just gonna go through these. I'm pretty sure I've seen at least all of these. There's maybe a couple because there's 25 here. There's a lot here. Um, I've seen at least all of them. There may be, like I said, a couple that are not um in my arsenal of stoner comedies. But yeah. First one's Grandma's Boy. Pretty self-explanatory. This is based off Rotten Tomatoes, so take it with a grain of salt. If you love this movie, it's just based off of what the critics say. But Grandma's Boy is it's fun. Um, I mean, if you like weed and you like video games, this movie will be great for you. Uh, there's a plot that they put in there, and it leads to one thing or another, but it's not till like the very end where the like a big like arc sort of occurs and happens. So it's kind of odd. This was made by Happy Madison, Adam Sandler's production company, and yeah, it's good. I like watching it. Dude, Where's My Car? It's another one of those films where people really seem to love it or not. This film I like a decent amount, but they're really sort of drawn like Dude, Where's My Car really goes to the extreme when it comes to like the lazy stoner stereotype and trope that happens in film. And I feel like they sometimes go overboard. It makes them and I'm just realizing you can't see any of this stuff, so let me move myself to over here. Um but yeah, Dude, Where's My Car? They make them seem like they just have no brains at all, which is kind of stupid. Soul Plane, I guess it's a stoner comedy. They smoke weed. I guess because Snoop Dogg's in it. But yeah, Soul Plane. I mean, not much to say about it. It's whatever. Just gonna move on. How high? How high? Gosh, it's been a while since I've seen this film. Probably a good 10 years, if not more. The only thing I can really say about this film is that it's good. I think. Um, and I'm also realizing that the camera wasn't angled right. My bad. New YouTuber here. Yeah, but how high? I think it'll attract more to the stoner slash rap connoisseur because it's got Method Man and Redman in the movie. So yeah. Half Baked. I thoroughly enjoy this film a lot. Uh, it's literally a movie about smoking weed. That's essentially what it is. Obviously, there are some things that happen throughout that um, make things good, make things bad. But for the most part, How High is great, or Half Baked is great. Um, and I think I also like it because Dave Chappelle's in it. I think he's one of the funniest comedians out there. But yeah. Super Troopers. So this one is interesting because yes, it is a stoner movie. It involves a lot of weed, but it's in the cops' hands, so none of them really smoke it. But it's more one of those movies to watch stoned, if that makes sense. I don't know where I'm going with this. But yeah, Super Troopers is great. Not much else I can say about it. Reefer Madness, never seen it, from 1936. Really need to see it. Up in Smoke. Okay, so a lot of people would say this is like the granddaddy of stoner films, and I would say you're pretty correct on that front because this came out in '78. It's one of those films that sort of started the stoner film genre. It's about a couple of guys that are smoking weed all the time, and they have to smuggle a car made out of weed across the Mexican border. That's the plot. But when you're watching this movie, you realize there really is no plot. It's just them either smoking weed or doing random stuff, which is fine. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So this film is more for the person that has dabbled in stuff besides weed, specifically hallucinogens, such as acid, DMT, mushrooms, stuff like that. Because in this movie, it's about Johnny Depp's character and his lawyer go to Las Vegas, and they've got every drug under the sun, basically. So they're doing acid, they're doing DMT, they're doing coke, they're smoking weed. They're doing all that stuff, including like pills. And it's sort of, they show the visuals that the character is having, so I think that's why a lot of people enjoy this film. I like this film. It's good. Iconic poster, love it. But yeah, good film. Scary Movie. I wouldn't consider this necessarily a stoner film. It's more just a film to watch while you're stoned because it's just absolutely stupid and funny and ridiculous. And yeah, not a whole lot more to say about it. Tenacious D is, yes, it's a stoner film in a way. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so I can't say if they have smoked weed in the film, but I can say that it's got a lot of great music sung by Jack Black, Kyle Gass, of course, as well. I think people like this film a lot because of the music that's throughout. It's a comedic and not too serious musical film. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So this film, it's been a long time since I've seen it. Yeah, it's a stoner film because they both smoke weed a lot. But other than that, I wouldn't say too much that it's necessarily a stoner film. That's my opinion, though. Smiley Face is 100% a stoner film from start to end. It's literally about a chick who eats a whole bunch of, I think, cupcakes or cookies and doesn't realize that the whole plate that she just ate was all edibles, and just sort of follow her day as she's just baked out of her mind while she's trying to do errands. Yeah. Pineapple Express. Jesus. I would say this is one of the films that's on like my Mount Rushmore of stoner films because it's not only Seth Rogen, but Seth Rogen and James Franco together, they make like such the great duo when it comes to stoners. Like, you've got on one end of the spectrum with Seth Rogen, where he's, a process server, so he's a working man, and he smokes weed to take the edge off and to just relax, and he's able to smoke weed on his job because he's a process server. And then you have on the other end of the spectrum is James Franco's character, where he's a drug dealer, and that's all he does is he sells weed and he smokes weed all day long, every day. Listens to music on his 6 stereo, watches TV, plays video game, does all that typical stuff that a stoner is. But yeah, the film's great. The plot, I feel like this film could have been still really, really good if they didn't have the whole like gang aspect and sort of kingpin plot in it. But I think they put it in there because they wanted to show the characters having to do crazy shit in situations where they're just baked out of their mind. So I think that's why they did it. Ted, pretty self-explanatory. It's Seth MacFarlane. All Seth MacFarlane's humor is in it. It basically, because Seth MacFarlane voices a lot of people for Family Guy. Mila Kunis is in this film. She voices Meg on Family Guy. There's a whole bunch of Family Guy voice actors that are in this film, and I think so. For me, it sort of just feels like a Family Guy, but in real life with different characters, if that makes sense. Inherent Vice, so I've never seen this. I love Joaquin Phoenix. I've heard it's a great film, but I haven't seen it. I need to watch it. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, another classic for these stoner comedies. It's just a couple of guys get super baked, and they're just trying to make it to White Castle, and a whole bunch of shit happens in that process. That's all the movie really is. It has its extremely funny parts, and I highly suggest start this film sober, and once they start smoking weed, like they start blazing up, that's when you start blazing up for this film, and then just kick back on your couch and enjoy, because it's hilarious. Friday, another great stoner film because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do. Yeah, great film. Chris Tucker does a great job in this film, portraying that character. Very loud, very sort of out there at times, but overall, just great film. Love it. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So this film is great because, yes, it's 100% a stoner film. I don't know how many people in the film smoke weed. Obviously, Spicoli and his group of friends are the main ones. And that's why I like this film a lot, because it's a stoner film because of one character in it. And he sort of, if you notice, the plot of Fast Times at Ridgemont High is not following Spicoli the whole entire film. He's not the main character. He is technically one of the main characters, but he's not he's not in front of the camera the whole time, and so that's what makes it a stoner film, and that's why I like this film so much, because you can watch it sober and still have a good time. You can watch it stoned, even have a better time. But yeah, it's a great film. Bad Trip, never seen it, but it is Eric Andre and Lil Rel, so I'm gonna have to watch it for sure. Another one, Easy Rider. Been a while since I've seen Easy Rider, so I can't really say much on that. The Big Lebowski. So I know a decent amount of people who absolutely adore this movie. Me personally, I think it's funny, but I feel like this movie, you have to be really baked to understand what's going on. I think that's the point. But yeah, I'm not going to say too much more about it, because I'm just personally not the biggest fan. This is the end. So this is a good film because it's all the actors playing themselves. which is great on itself, and then they're just having a huge, celebrity party up in the hills, and a end of the earth scenario starts playing out, and so it's just hilarious. All right, so I believe number 2 and number 1 are like on my Mount Rushmore as well. So number 2, Superbad. This film is everything. It's hilarious. It's got Jesus, sorry. So it's got humor. It's got drama. It's got love throughout it. I mean, it's got everything you could really want, like in a comedy movie, and then on top of it, it's just utterly hilarious. I mean, the funniest shit you could ever see on film. I mean, Superbad is just a absolute, in my opinion, like masterpiece when it comes to a comedy film. Like, nobody has really been able to do it much better, other than like the typical 80s and 70s films. Obviously those are up there with Superbad, but I think Superbad is one of the funniest. Number 1, Dazed and Confused. This film is so good because it's in 1976. It's the first day of summer. You got parties going on, you got weed smoking, you got drinking. I mean, you have everything. Like, if you were lucky enough, like my father, who graduated in 76, if you were lucky enough to live during this time period, I'm just very jealous because it seems like one of the greatest time periods to live for like high school in specific. But I feel like nowadays, the like house party that people have nowadays is, let me back up. So the house party back in even the 2010s is now today considered to be like the big thing to go to is to like go to a small group gathering, 4 to 6 people. You can all sit in one bedroom in a circle, pass a bowl around, listen to some music, have a good time. And I did that in high school, and it was a lot of fun. And I feel like that's like the creme de la creme nowadays. Like, people just want to hang out with their close group of friends, nothing too big of a party, and just smoke some weed and have a good time. And I mean, it's a good scenario in my eyes too. But yeah, Dazed and Confused is just incredible. Based in the 70s, lots of weed going on. Weed smoking, I should say, excuse me. But then you also have the typical stereotypes, like the jock, stoner, what have you. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, excuse me, and I'll see you in the next one.